Greetings and salutations, my friends, and welcome to a new video. Now, today I have what I like to call the final installment of the bookshelf series. Was it ever a series to begin with? It feels like it to me, but maybe not officially. We first started with a massive on-haul where I got rid of over 200 books from my collection. I went through every single book I owned. I went through my entire collection. I purged it all, and I made sure to get rid of books that I either realistically knew I wasn't going to read or that I had not liked and I just needed to let go of it. And then we reorganized the shelves. We made sure that every single book I kept had its own nook and cranny. I figured out a different organizational system. I put in decor on the shelves. And now for the final installment, I need to show you the final result. Even though I gave you like a quick little overview during my bookshelf reorganization, I didn't really show you every single shelf, exactly what trinkets went on each of them, where I got these things, exactly which books stayed, how I ended up figuring out the system between read and unread, and all of these different nuances to the shelves. So I thought for today we could celebrate the new shelves, kind of take you over every single one of my shelves, not necessarily show you every single book because we'd be here for ages, but kind of show you some highlights, what books I am really looking forward to reading if they're still unread, show you special editions, show you some of my favorite books, tell you exactly why this system is working out the way that it is, whether successfully or unsuccessfully. I feel like there's so much to chat about that I thought for today I could bring you a little bookshelf tour and we can chat a little bit about everything. So welcome, friends, to my bookshelf tour. I'm pretty sure the last bookshelf tour I did was right after I moved. Although I have reorganized the shelves basically every year since, I haven't really given you the full overview of what these look like now or what they used to look like then. So this is quite exciting. This is truly little Mel's dream. If I think back on what child me wanted, one of the recurring themes was absolutely having a room full of books, somewhere that I could escape to into fiction, where I would have a lot of books that I had read and loved, but also books that I could pick up and read whenever I wanted. And so this almost feels somewhat healing to my child self. The thing exists. We do have an at-home library and there are a ton of books here that have brought us comfort and joy and maybe some tears, but really good ones. And that we do have our own kind of sacred space in our home that we can go into and just look at the shelves and find joy in them. So I am absolutely grateful for the fact that these exist, that I have them. I realize obviously this is not a somewhat normal amount of books to own. Like there's quite a bit of bookage inside this household. However, not only is it my job, but it is truly the only thing that I collect and that brings me joy. And although I am continuously finding ways to obviously do so in the most sustainable way for me, I still recognize that there's a lot of them, but it does bring me joy. And speaking of things that bring me joy and also things that make me feel comfortable and confident on an everyday basis, I have to give a massive shout out to Skims, who I'm partnering with today to bring you guys this video. You know, it is no understatement when I say how obsessed I am with Skims. From their bodysuits to their lounge sets, all the way to their underwear, my closet is full of it. I mentioned recently that I am on a mission to switch out every single underwear piece that I've got in my closet to their Fits Everybody collection, and I am very well on my way to doing so. I'm currently wearing their crossover bralette and their full brief, both in the color Onyx. Their crossover bralette hits every single one of the points that I personally look for when it comes to a top piece. It supports the girls, it holds them in place. I never feel like anything is going to slip out of the bralette. It does a really great job at actually defining the breastises, if we will, and also a great job at holding them up in general. And more than anything, it really is just the comfort of knowing that I won't have any of that uncomfortable underwiring digging into my skin all day long. And then for my full coverage girls, I got you. The full brief is exactly where it is at. Front and back, fully covered, baby. So if you don't like the cheeks to be hanging out, I got you. It is still slightly high-waisted, so it will provide you some semblance of shaping and smoothing and compression without being too high compression or even uncomfortable. What I love about the Fits Everybody bottoms, especially the ones that are more high-waisted, especially as a person who has got an apron belly, the fabric is super thin, but it still does all of the things that shapewear would. It is truly sorcery. Much like the bra holds everything in place and gives it the shape, but it still is a bralette. I still don't comprehend the sorcery, but give me more of it. And I think that's what I love most about the Fits Everybody collection, is the fact that as a big-bodied girl, I don't want to feel like I'm wearing extra fabric or extra pieces, where pieces and fabric do not really have to go. So it really feels super lightweight, it feels extremely comfortable, and it almost feels like you're wearing nothing while still getting all of the support that you need from the pieces. So if you would like to check out the Fits Everybody collection, I will be be leaving a link at the top of the description, but you can go to skims.com/MelReads to see all of the different fits and designs. They come in a bunch of different styles as well as shades and colors. Goes all the way from extra small all the way to 4X. If you want to match with me, you know where to go. And if you do end up getting something, first, let a girl know in the comment section, but also make sure to respond to their post-order survey where you'll get a little menu. You can click on YouTube, it'll give you a little drop-down menu, and then you can click on my channel to let them know that Bestie Mel sent you, because we're all about the good stuff here. You already know. The first thing I want to clear out, because I know I'm gonna get questions in the comment section, Mel, which bookshelves do you use? These are the IKEA Billy bookshelves. Very basic, very straightforward. I feel like this is like the book girly standard. Everybody has a Billy bookshelf. We're all unoriginal together, and I think none of us are mad at it. I decided to go with these a couple years ago, and they're standing strong. These babies hold weight to them. I have put so many books on these shelves, and they're holding on so strong. And what I basically did is I mix and match them. So I've got one bigger Billy, then I've got one smaller Billy, one bigger, one smaller, so on and so forth. And I have got 6 of them. I love the little system. For the actual bookshelf system and how I organize all of my books, which I'd love to know how you guys organize your books. How do you exactly break them up? Do you do something similar? Do you do something different? I'd love to know, because I realized the fault in my system much later after I reorganized them. And at this point, I'm just going with it and we're gonna figure it out as we go. However, I decided to break my books up into read and unread. That way I had a clearer view of exactly all of the books I still need to get through, and then obviously display the books that I have already read and figure out how to best display some of my favorites so that I can show them proudly, because some of these I absolutely adore. So basically, to give you the little overview, everything that you see in like this middle part of the shelves, including this shelf right here, are all of my read books. So everything you see kind of again in the middle portion are all of the books that I have read or series that I didn't necessarily want to separate because I've already started them. However, most of the books, and I'm talking about 98%, save for a few outliers that again reside in series, all have been read. And then my corner shelves is what I'm calling them now. So we have got this one right here, and then we have got this one right here are all of my unread books. Now, the reason why I decided to not have them as center view is obviously because they are unread, and while all of these shelves I took care of making more aesthetically pleasing, my unread shelves are more functional than they are display pieces, and so I decided to put them off to the sides. And also because when I'm filming my TBR videos or I'm filming any sort of challenge video that I need to pick out any unread books, I want to make sure that I know exactly where to reach for and they are easier to spot. And honestly, this system has been far better than having everything mixed in together. Before, I had all of my read and unread books together, and when I tell you, it was starting to really fog up my vision because I could not visibly tell what was read from unread, and in my head I was starting to just mesh everything together and go, oh my god, most of my books are read. And reality was, while they are, there is still a number of books unread, and I'm talking about 220 something unread books. And so separating them like this, much better for the brain. And it also low-key made my books a little bit easier to organize. So I love it. The only error with this system truly was the fact that I did not think through exactly how I would incorporate my unread, which would then be read books, into my read shelves. I didn't think far out ahead into that. So if you have any suggestions, do let a girl know on what you would do in that scenario, because I'm really unsure. Part of me is just like, hey, let me just like turn it around, pages facing out so that I know that that book is read, or just, I guess, consistently be reorganizing my read shelf so that I can fit everything in. Whichever the case, I still have got to figure that element of it out because I genuinely don't know how I'm gonna do it. That said, both my unread shelves and my read shelves are separated into genres and also into age groups. So you're going to see all of my middle grade books together, you're going to see all of my YA books together, and all of my adult books together. And then from there, we break it down into genres. So we go adult fantasy, adult romance, we go into YA fantasy, YA contemporary, or even YA fiction, adult thrillers. We go middle grade all together because honestly, for middle grade, I don't have enough of them to separate them into different shelves. So I just grouped all middle grades together, and that is the way that the system works. Outside of that, there is no fancy system to this. I don't organize alphabetically. I don't do anything that really categorizes books together in any way, shape, or form outside of those two factors. So for first, let me give you a little overview of what the shelves look like. This is when you walk into the office, the first thing that you'd see, and I love these. I got some fairy lights, which I'd never done for the shelves. They're battery powered, so they've been good to me so far, and I love them. I feel like it brings so much life into the shelf, makes them feel so alive, and it just brings in some sort of ambient lighting into the office at-home library situation. So I personally think that the fairy lights was one of the best decisions that I made when reorganizing the shelves. This is what they look like when giving you a little overview. This right here is going to be our first unread shelf. So I think we can start up over on this side and then work our way to the right into my read shelves. And then the last thing you're going to see is going to be my second unread shelf. So I think we can start off over on this side. And if you spot any books that you're like, Mel, get on it, read it. Please, I beg of you, do let a girl know. You won't be able to see me, but I'm here. Hello. So a few things that I want to show you on the shelf. I think it's kind of obvious that I'm going to show you this edition of Dune. I personally think it's stunning. Even though I haven't been able to fully read and finish Dune, I love this edition. I think it is beautiful. Do I also like other editions of Dune? Absolutely. But I ended up going for this one, and I love the sprayed edges. Like, I think, listen, ignore the post-its, but I really just loved like this turquoise vibe to it. I thought it was extra special, extra beautiful. Another really beautiful and special edition I have here is the pink edition of Leviathan Wakes. It's a 10th anniversary edition. It's got these stunning and ridiculous neon pink sprayed edges, and I think it's the coolest thing I have ever seen. I also think this and Dune are probably as sci-fi as any book I have on my shelf gets, because I don't, again, own a whole lot of them, and I've been avoiding this one too, even though I think, just based on what I've heard, I am really going to love this. So I feel like I need to give this a read very, very soon. So hopefully I get it in either the Read It or Unhaul It series, or maybe I'll put it in like my 10 books to read in 2025. I think that'll be a nice little challenge. Other books I'm really looking forward to reading on this shelf. You guys have been speaking wonders of Heaven Official's Blessing. I literally got this because of you guys, so I am really looking forward to reading this as well. Hopefully sometime soonish in the next couple of months, because I've seen so many of you read this during sprints, again, speak very highly of it, or even just comment in videos that this is what you're currently reading and you're losing your mind. So I feel like I need to give that a read very, very soon, as well as The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. I have got Unread Sanderson because that's just the way it goes. I feel like there's always going to be Unread Sandersons just based on the amount of books that this man writes. Then we have got the self-published edition of Masters of Death by Olivia Blake. I've debated getting the regular, traditionally published edition because the cover is obviously much prettier than this, but there's just a charm to this. It's also paperback, which I am starting to prefer these days. I also have this edition of Le Petit Mort by Olivia Blake, and I don't know that she's ever published this traditionally. I don't think so. The cover of this is seriously ridiculous. I started reading this a while back too, and I never finished it. So a very short book that I need to give a read very, very soon, just because lengthwise, it really is just gonna be such a quick read, but I haven't been able to commit to this. We have got a High Republic book, Light of the Jedi. I really want to read this also sometime soon. And The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern, which is actually a special edition, and I still have yet to read this. I started this and I softly DNF'd it years ago. Have never picked this back up because I'm scared, but I feel like I have to. Like, literally, look at this. This edition's ridiculous. I also love that I still have got the bookmark in, but this edition I found in the used section in Amazon years ago. It was like the biggest coincidence, and also just so random and so fortunate too, because these editions are not made anymore. I believe these were like UK printings that happened back in the day, and you know how sometimes the UK will do like the first printing and then it's like gone forever. I feel like it was one of those cases, and it's part of the reason why I also haven't gotten rid of it, even though I dread reading this book, because it's such a rare find that I'm like, I have to keep it. And then we have got the collector's edition of The Assassin's Apprentice. I have yet to embark and start my Robin Hobb journey. I really want to very soon. However, I clearly didn't think this through, because this has almost like this photo-like paper, because it does have illustrations within it. And if I do decide to annotate this book, I generally don't know how I'd go about it just based on the style of paper, so maybe I'll end up getting a regular edition of it, and we'll just hope and pray that I actually like this enough to have 2 editions. Great! Fantastic. Love it. I love that you can actually see me now. Hi. It's so creepy, this angle. Hello. Okay, so this is all YA fantasies and sci-fis technically, but I think there's only like a single sci-fi or like dystopian book on this shelf. However, we have got plenty of special editions here because I went through a phase where I was getting every single Fairy Loot special edition under the sun, regardless of the fact of whether I had read the book, not read the book, and it's a huge risk spending quite a bit of money on books that you don't know whether you've enjoyed or will enjoy. Listen, I'm hoping and praying for the best for a lot of these. However, I also have some Fairy Loot editions that I got from the Fairy Loot box when I was repping for them a couple years ago. So we first have got Jade Fire Gold, which I can't remember if this was Illumicrate or Fairy Loot as far as like who had a special edition of it in their box. However, this edition is stunning. I love this cover. I absolutely love the stenciled edges. I think they are the most beautiful thing ever. And then when you go into the book, obviously you have got like the special little embossing on the actual cover. You have got the actual art under the dust jacket. So these editions to me are so special. They're so beautiful and I will forever cherish them because I also think it's kind of, I guess, almost linked to that era of the channel when I did used to rep for certain book boxes. I think there's a certain specialty to it because of it too. I have got a couple of arcs which are still unread, obviously, and they will get read very soon because I do want to read all three of these. Another special edition is The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea. I have heard that this gives Studio Ghibli vibes and I really want to immerse myself in that if that is the case. I have held onto this book for forever because it sounds super interesting and I have been meaning to obviously read it, but I think the final push really was the Ghibli vibes that I have heard of quite recently. Another one that has got really stunning and ridiculous stenciled edges, as all Fairy Loot editions tend to, as well as Six Crimson Cranes and The Dragon's Promise, which are also both Fairy Loot editions. They obviously match. They did this as part of their box and then they sold this to make sure that people had the matching set, and I love this. As far as special editions go, this is my favorite monochromatic moment. I think they nailed this with this Vicious Grace. It's all yellow. Like, come on. There's something about this that is deeply satisfying to me, so I love this edition. Then we have got the special editions of the, I think this is called the Legend series by Mary Lou. They obviously all draw up a design on the spines, but they have also got the very ridiculous sprayed and stenciled edges as always. So these editions are also quite great. I have never read the Legend series, but when I saw that they were doing special editions of these, I got them, impulsively so, and I still haven't read them, but I hope that when I do get to them that I love them so that the money is worth it. On my unread shelves, I only have two books on display. It is literally this one, and then I have another one also on a book stand on the other unread shelf, so you'll see that by the end of the tour. But in here I've got displayed Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. It is the book that I thought fit the vibes best, even though I technically haven't finished this book. I did start it, but I need to restart it and then finish it. But it's on display because it's a really pretty edition. I don't particularly love the US edition of Emily Wilde, so I decided to get this one instead. Can you believe I loved the Atlas 6 back in the day, like 2 years ago when I read it, and I still have not read the Atlas Paradox. I even pre-ordered this. I don't pre-order books, and still it remains in my unread shelf. It's really pretty. I got the Waterstones edition so that it could match my white. I think the other one's the Fairy Loot edition that I have of the Atlas 6, but ask me if I've read it. No, I have not. Silver on the Nightfall is actually a book that I really want to prioritize soon, so I really need to get on this, as well as Blood Mercy. These are two vampire books that I have had on my shelves for quite a bit of time, and I have still not given them the love that they potentially deserve, and I say potentially because I don't know where I'll fall on these. However, I have heard more than enough amazing things, and things in the vein of what I typically tend to love, for me to just beat myself up because I have not read these yet, but I really need to. The Luminaries is another really pretty Illumicrate edition that I ended up getting. The foiling in this is ridiculous, as well as the stenciled edges. Again, sometimes I find myself leaning towards like certain covers just because they're prettier. This is definitely one of those cases because, come on now, look at the end papers, but then also look at the book without the dust jacket. Absolutely ridiculous. A Marvelous Light is a book that I also really love the design of. The clear dust jacket I thought was like really inventive on top of the designed hardback, because I thought that was really cool. Now we are moving into my romance unread shelf. There is quite a bit here. It's funny because a couple years ago I would not have branded myself as a romance reader of any kind. I in fact would not have even said that this was my second most read genre, and these days it is. The escapism I get from these books is elite, and honestly this is exactly what I need on like a really down, Debbie Downer, chronically ill, hurting and aching all over the place kind of day. This is what I go to, because there is some unmatched joy in romance books that I am finding as of recent. I am a changed woman, what can I say? We have got a few in here that I really want to prioritize sometime soon. One of them is You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty. This is the Illumicrate Afterlight edition. I love this. I think the spine is honestly ridiculous, which is why I got this, and I really need to read this very, very soon. Better Than Fiction by Alexa Martin is another one that I really want to read soon. The cover for this also I absolutely adore. Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail. I feel like the sapphics won't fail me, so I need to get that read sometime soon. As well as Barbarian Lover. Now I know not everybody's a fan of the I Spun a Barbarian series. However, I feel like I need that level of kooky in my life very, very soon again. So very much looking forward to that. Maybe even before the year is over. I'm not even gonna lie to you. And then I feel like I need to give Elle Kennedy another try, because I tried one of her books a couple years ago and I didn't necessarily love it. However, I got both of these sent by Bloom Books recently, The Deal and The Graham Effect. So I feel like I need to read one of these and see what is up with Miss Elle Kennedy and see if I'd vibe. This is one of the only books I have got left in my top 10 books to read in 2024, so I'm very excited to read Throttled. By the end of the year, I have never really been a huge F1 girly. However, one of my cousins is, like, she's obsessed with it, and I grew up going to her house, seeing her watch F1 a lot and just kind of sitting by as she did. So I feel like offhandedly I'm going to get quite a bit of this, as well as some of my patrons who really love F1. I feel like that's going to be a really great experience. Alone with You in the Ether. This is actually the very coveted self-published edition that people were selling for like $300. Well, let me tell you something. Mine is not going to get sold, because mine is definitely annotated towards the beginning, because I started reading this and I still haven't finished this, but there's actually quite a bit of annotations in here when I started reading this 2 years ago at this point, I think. Don't tell anybody. I've got a terrible habit of starting books and not finishing them, evidently, even when I'm enjoying them. So I need to pick this back up soon and finish reading this, because evidently I was having a great time. Welcome to the Book of the Month shelf. This has been obviously quite a while in the making from not only working with Book of the Month but having my own subscription with them. So I have got quite a bit of books, as well as some miscellaneous ones down there, like The Vanishing Half, Disorientation, and Blue Sisters, which are not Book of the Month editions, but because they were taller hardcovers and I did not have space for them anywhere else, I just chucked them in there. However, I feel quite content with where I reduced my Book of the Months down to, because I feel like everything I have kept now are all books that I really want to read soon, and I am hoping that I can get through them. I feel like I need to make a Book of the Month project where I include at least one Book of the Month book every single month into my TBR, so that I can actually read these, because they all sound amazing and I haven't actually been picking them up because they were at the bottom of my bookshelf before. And I mean, they're still like quite at the bottom in comparison, but they're more visible now, and the collection I have now is so much better. I feel like it's going to be easier for me to pick and choose which ones to read at which point. But can we also talk about the UK edition of Blue Sisters? I am sorry. I prefer this edition a lot more than the US one. Again, a time where the UK got it even more right, because this edition is everything. This is giving what I needed to give. So I decided to go for that one. I ordered it a couple weeks back, got here damaged, then they replaced it. So shout out to them for doing that, because they were amazing with their customer service. And last but not least, on the unread shelf, number one, probably one of my least read genres. I do like to venture into it every once in a while. However, horror really freaks me out. Like, that's just the truth of it. Especially like the really spooky ones, not like the murder mysteries and stuff. I feel like that's fine. Surprisingly enough, you guys may be like, Mel, you're ridiculous. I'm more scared of the supernatural than a killer, which I know sounds ridiculous, but welcome to my life. It's the superstitious Latina in me. I am very excited to read Listen for the Lie very soon. This is actually our Patreon book club pick for November, so if you want to join us in reading that, the Patreon link is down down below. Other books that I really want to read, I think primarily are like my mysteries. Dial for Aunties, I really want to read very, very soon, as well as My Lovely Wife and Bunny. I also own Mystery in these like really stunning, I think they're called Halloween editions. I have this one, and then I have got Carrie. Also, this edition of Home is Where the Bodies Are. Listen, very impractical in terms of like, oh, it's made like a VHS tape, so I'm always afraid of like denting it and breaking it. However, how cool is this? It's literally supposed to be exactly like a VHS tape. Honestly, those were the good old days. You are back where you cannot see me. However, in my short stature, I will try and show you this as best as I can. We first have a little fake plant, which literally just hangs. Like, there's no science to this except that I have made it into a little hook, and I have put this into an Illumicrate pot. I have got this and a purple one. The purple one I have left on my desk. However, this one I have taken to putting up here because I thought, what better perch for my little fake plant rather than an Illumicrate pot? It's just great decor, if I say so myself. We have got a bunch of different classics, poetry, and also a single nonfiction on the shelf. And we are first starting with Dracula, which I loved. Oh my god. I read Dracula, I think 3 years ago at this point. I listened to the audiobook, and the audiobook was just such an amazing experience. I would definitely recommend if you guys wanna read Dracula. It honestly made it so digestible. The epistolary writing is just phenomenal. I mean, it's a classic for a reason. So I am absolutely obsessed with this edition. Another one of my favorite classics, personally speaking, Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Now, I know, a bit of a heavy one, a bit of a choice. However, I annotated this one. I also listened to the audiobook, and it was a phenomenal time. One I wish I had annotated, seriously, Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I also listened to the audiobook. Honestly, when it comes to older books, I preferred audiobooks because it makes it a little bit more digestible and accessible for me to read and consume as somebody whose first language is not English. So I really adored the audio for this one too. It literally felt like El Biggest Bochinche de la Historia. Oh my god, Catherine and Heathcliff really did the damn thing in this one, but I seriously wish I had annotated it. So I feel like at this point in time, I do need a reread of Wuthering Heights. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. Other classics, we have got The Great Gatsby and Little Women. Honestly, the Penguin Library editions reign supreme. I absolutely adore these. I think the covers are stunning, and so I really wish that I had gotten more classics in these editions because these ones, honestly, and these ones are everything. I don't know, makes me feel extra intellectual even though I don't own too many of them, but I do love. A personal shout out goes to my favorite Rupicore poetry collection, and that is Homebody. Just the best one in my opinion. I have read all three of them, but Homebody really takes the cake for me. And obviously, I mean, Pride and Prejudice. This edition I had never seen, but I personally also really love it. I think it's like really cute and different to what I tend to see in Pride and Prejudice editions. So that's the one I have, the one I read, the one I annotated, and the one I love. Then we move on to one of my favorite shelves in the entire at-home library. When I was redoing the shelves, I knew very quickly that I wanted a dedicated Magnolia Parks shelf because some of these books were hard to find and hunt down. This is the first Magnolia book. I know a lot of people will consider this book to be ugly, and I'm not about to dispute that because it definitely is organized chaos. Everything fits very seamlessly into like the storyline and it all makes sense. However, it's definitely chaotic and not the prettiest cover. I love these though. Like, I think they have like its own little charm, and so I have got the original cover, like the self-published edition of Magnolia. Then we have got Daisy Hates, which is technically the second book in the Magnolia series. However, this ends up being like the first book also in its own little like sub-series because it's Magnolia and Daisy. It's an interwoven series, but there's technically Daisy 1, Magnolia 1, Daisy 2, Magnolia 2, so on and so forth. This has got to be my second favorite cover in the entire series. I love this. I think this one, even more than Magnolia Parks, gives organized chaos, and I love this. I still have yet to finish Daisy Hates. I know I went out of order. I don't want to hear it because I know I read Magnolia and then The Long Way Home, which I shouldn't have done, but I just had to skip this one because it was seriously so hard to get through because of the footnotes, but I do have the audio, so I will get through this through audio form and hopefully it'll be better. And then this one was so hard to find. When I tell you guys, I hunted this girl down. Magnolia Parks, The Long Way Home, it's the third book in the series, the second Magnolia book. I could not find this specific edition, which is the US edition, anywhere, and it took me quite a bit to find it, but we eventually did for a regular price too. Like, I think I paid $20 something for this, and this had been already at a point where the self-published editions had been discontinued because because they had been picked up by Dutton. So honestly, really grateful that I managed to find this one because super hard to find. This one I did not manage to find in the US edition, so I did manage to get the UK one, which is not a problem really because these ones are still sold in UK bookstores. But this is The Great Undoing, which is Daisy number 2, and then we have what I personally like to call the Quentin Tarantino covers, because I still do not understand the executive decision to put feet on the cover. I genuinely don't understand it. If you want to also understand why I call these the Quentin Tarantino covers, look up Quentin Tarantino feet on Google and it'll do the job for you, because I certainly will not be explaining that on this day of our Lord. And then right behind the curtain, right here, I have got this little fake book. I think this one's from Illumicrate or Owlcrate. I actually cannot remember. Does it say anywhere? I don't think so, but I literally just put this in here for filler because otherwise my copy of Into the Dark was going to lean and I did not necessarily want it to do that. So stuffed that in there to create a little bit of bulk, as well as my go-to book sleeve, which is, I believe, inspired by The Bear and the Nightingale, if I'm not mistaken. So I do have this on the shelf as well, and that's what I reach for whenever I'm going out. That's where I stuff all of my books. I think this shelf right here is pretty self-explanatory. It's literally just the Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson. Now, my editions are all the way mixed and matched because it was the only way to go about it, because I miscalculated when I originally got my first Stormlight book, which was Way of Kings, and I was hell-bent on getting the white UK editions because I was like, oh, I don't like the US versions. I was a US cover hater, and so I ended up getting the first book, Way of Kings, in the UK edition. This is not the first run, this is a reprint that they did, and so I managed to get this one, and I think thankfully so, because I think the plan back in the day, I don't know if it still is or if it ever came to be, but the plan was to even separate the hardcovers into 2 different books, part 1 and part 2, and I managed to find this one in a single bind-up. However, when I tried to find Words of Radiance and subsequently Oathbringer, I realized that much like the UK does, they did a first print and then they took them away. And I tried to order, some of you guys would know this story if you've been on the channel for a while. I tried to order Words of Radiance on eBay, the UK white edition, and I was not only scammed out of my money, but my eBay account was closed for fraudulent activity because I was trying to pay an outrageous amount of money for Words of Radiance, and I did, and I never got my money back, by the fucking way. So there's that story. So I ended up getting the US edition of Words of Radiance to, I guess, somewhat compensate the Words of Radiance hole in my heart. And this is the Stormlight book I am currently in the middle of, so goes to freaking show. Then I did manage to find an original first print of Oathbringer. I can't even remember where I found this. It must have been like the Amazon used section, I think. Evidently this book was like used quite a bit. You can see that like the spine is unglued. It definitely has seen better days. Even like the dust jacket itself is like fraying and everything. So this book could use some love, let me tell you that much, in terms of like putting it back together. And then of course, because the 4th book wasn't that hard to find because it had just come out, I think, at the time that I got Way of Kings, I got Rhythm of War in the UK edition. I love this cover of it, but I think nowadays, in hindsight, I think I would have just gotten the regular US edition, especially because now that Wind and Truth is coming out, the US edition of Wind and Truth is stunning. And the sadness I will feel when I'll have to do this so that I can fit Wind and Truth right here, it will gut me. Like, you guys do not understand. Not having Way of Kings on display is going to shatter my soul, but it's gonna be okay. It is a new day, friends, and I have got new nails. So if you spot the new nails, just know I had to do a little revamp. So we are here for day 2 of showing you the entirety of my bookshelves. However, we are next up going to see my All Souls trilogy shelf. Now, I don't know still to this day if I am going to finish out the rest of the series that follows the original trilogy. However, I do have 2 different editions of this series, as you can see. I have got the Juniper Books dust jacket on my hardcovers, which all line up quite beautifully to show you the alchemical nature of the series. And if you've read the series, then you know how that whole thing plays into it all, but I really do love these dust jackets, so I had to get them. I got some used hardcovers, and this is just where they reside now. I don't particularly adore the way that the front cover of this dust jacket looks. I think it's very simple in comparison to the spine itself. I kind of wish all of it were the color of the actual spine, which is a more like deep blue instead of this really dark sort of like grayish blue almost. I know it's supposed to look like an actual like old textbook, but I don't particularly love this. However, the whole reason I got it was the spines, and so the spines is what we display with these. I have got a cute little pin up here that is from, I think, Illumicrate, I believe. I'm not quite sure. However, I had this stored on my bookish item sort of bin, and when I was sorting through it to figure out what decor to put into the bookshelves, I figured maybe I could put some pins on top of some hardcovers and kind of zhuzh them up a little bit. I have got the paperbacks of the series. I'm currently on book 2, which is Shadow of Night, and then I have got some Lego roses. These are the individual ones, so I was able to kind of adjust the stem to whatever height I wanted so that they weren't too high up. And then this is my Read It or Unhaul It jar, which is very colorful, and this month you'll be able to hopefully see the first episode of Read It or Unhaul It. I haven't started filming it yet fully. I know which books I'm going to be reading because I've already pulled out the actual papers, but I have not started reading them yet. So if not October, then early November, but my hope is, fingers crossed, to do October. And then over here, I put these here because I didn't have anywhere else to put them, but I have got some playing cards. Some of these character cards actually came from a book box. I think it might have been Fairy Loot because I know some of these illustrations are for Only a Monster. Then I think we have got Crimson Cranes, and those were all Fairy Loot books. However, when you get to the back end of this, I actually did buy the Brandon Sanderson Stormlight playing cards. I'm not sure if it's actually Cosmere playing cards or just Stormlight. However, I did get these because I love using these as bookmarks when I'm reading Sanderson books, and so I just pulled out all of the actual character cards and then stuffed everything else inside the box it came in. And these are technically, look at Sil, she's gorgeous. These are all just bookmarks for me, so that's why I keep them out here in relation to the books, I guess. And I've just stuffed them into this little corner, and that's just where they go. Down here, I have got all of my red Book of the Month books, except for Vespertine. I didn't have anywhere else to put this, so I figured because all of the Book of the Month books are already hardcovers, let me just stuff that in there because it's basically the same height as all of the other ones. So out of all of the Book of the Month books that I have read, these were the ones that I kept, and I tried to line up the Book of the Month logo in the spines as best as possible to kind of give it a little rainbow effect. Not that successful given the colors that I do have left, but some good books have been found through Book of the Month, let me tell you that much. With a cat in the middle, hi Sil, how are you doing today? And I show the people the books, thank you baby. And this very last shelf in this skinny Billy are all actually unread manga and graphic novels. There are a few standouts here that I really want to read soon, like Uzumaki by Junji Ito. I have surprisingly still to this day never read a Junji Ito book, so I definitely want that to be my first one. I have also got Full Metal Alchemist, which I recently sprinted with Bella from Throne of Pages, and she was singing Full Metal praises, so need to read that soon because she is the manga queen. I'll trust her till the day I cease to exist. Then we have got The Magic Fish, which I actually also want to read very, very soon. Then My Hero, obviously. We have got A Silent Voice. Moriarty, which I'm so excited to get read. I was a huge Sherlock BBC fan, so I feel a Moriarty manga is going to be so fun. And then the creme de la creme of manga, One Piece by Eiichiro Oda. I really need to get this read, not only for my own sanity, but I know for a lot of you that are waiting for me to read One Piece, for Bella, who also wants me to read One Piece, so that'll happen sometime soon, and I am very, very excited about it. So that is the unread shelf for all of these types of stories. Welcome to the middle grade and adult fiction fantasy section. Listen, it's weird. I had to make do with the space I did have, and I had to just mix these two together. So over on this corner right here, we have got the Chronicles of Narnia. It's a nice little box set. We have got this lotus flower right here, also obviously made of Legos, and I just separated the kit, which also brought two, put them on different shelves. I have got the entirety of the Heroes of Olympus series, Amari and the Night Brothers, the first two books in the Pages & Co series. I loved the first book. It was so wholesome. The UK hardcovers of these are ridiculously stunning. I figured because the House on the Cerulean Sea is often sold like a middle grade for adults. I'd put them next to each other. And then we have got The Secret Projects for the Kickstarter by Brandon Sanderson. The only one that I have read of these is the Frugal Wizard's Handbook for Surviving Medieval England. Sadly, didn't really love this one. I ended up DNFing it, and I have seen people kind of on that same vein of it's the weakest out of the entire release. I have not read Tress or Yumi or The Sunlit Man. I do love the cover for Yumi though, and I think the story looks fantastic. So I can't wait to get the rest of these read and see what I think. And then I have got the Illumicrate box set for Madeline Miller. This right here is complete with her 2 releases, so you do have the Song of Achilles and Circe. This is what the editions look like for Song of Achilles and then Circe. Really nothing much special to this outside of all of the foiling and the actual end papers for the books, but outside of that, they're not signed. I don't know if there were editions signed and I just got mine not. However, these are the ones I have. I think they're stunning. I obviously haven't picked these back up because I've already read them, but they do reside just right here in conjunction with the rest of some special editions, but also at the very top of the shelf, so not even on the actual shelving units themselves. I have got all of the books that I read a long time ago by Cassandra Clare and SJM that I don't look at. I don't tend to recommend a whole lot, and so because a lot of these are heavily annotated, personal annotations and all the things, some of these are special editions that I don't quite want to let go of yet, I just put them up here so that they don't take space down on the shelves. Next up, I have got all of my read and serialized YA fantasies. There are a couple in here that I have not read, and I have them in here because I did not want to separate the series, but also because I have got double copies and I've got a special edition of it. So very first one that you can see just very prominently displayed, which is one of my favorite books of all time, is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. I feel like it'd take a lot for me to not display this book, and by that I mean it'd take a serious lack of space for me to turn this around and not display it the way that it always has been displayed ever since I read it and got it. And I just decided to plop a little Alice in Wonderland bookmark that I got from Owlcrate a couple years back. It just has the drink me and eat me, and I had this stashed away. I had completely forgotten about this bookmark, but I figured just to give it a little bit of pizzazz to this bookshelf, let's just hang it on Strange the Dreamer. And I will be the very annoying person to say this edition is very, very special to me because it is the UK first print hardcover that you cannot find anymore, and that it's super hard to even find on resale. I was very lucky that I found these on the used section on Amazon, and I managed to get these a couple years back. So I have got Strange the Dreamer, and then I have got Muse of Nightmares by Laini Taylor, which is also the UK first edition. This one actually has the red sprayed edges, which are stunning. This copy is not annotated because I do have another edition of Muse of Nightmares that I got prior to being able to find this one, because this one took me a lot longer to find than Strange the Dreamer. So Strange was a little bit easier. This was the copy that I read, and therefore it is obviously annotated. I know a lot of people will have thoughts and opinions on that because it is technically like a super rare special edition these days, but listen, I don't care. I won't be getting rid of this book, so I decided to annotate it because I had such a great reading experience with it, and I most certainly don't regret it. Other favorites on the shelf include A Fragile Enchantment by Alison Sav. I thought this book was wonderful. The world building in here was delicious, as well as the actual romance between our 2 main characters. I think the actual political landscape of this book was also quite great. It really sold me on Alison Saft as a writer, and I can't wait to read more of her work. It's also one of those books that I have annotated quite a bit in my collection. Foul Lady Fortune I have not read. However, let me just push this to the side because I'm afraid that I'll literally drop the cabling. But I do have the ARC for Foul Lady Fortune, so I will be reading the ARC, and I decided to put my favorite loot edition in here. It does have these stunning, ridiculous stenciled edges that I absolutely love, and because I did not need to put both this and my other edition on my unread shelf, I just decided to put the special edition in here. And then I have other special editions over here that I love quite a lot as well. I have not yet read Dark Star Burning, Ash Falls White. However, this edition right here is the Illumicrate edition, and I am so happy that I managed to get a hold of this because these sprayed edges are ridiculous. Not only is it like an ombre effect, but also the stencil on it is just out of this world. For the Song of Silver Flame Like Night edition, I did get the signed Waterstones edition. Got this on resale on Pango, but it also has like these really beautiful orange sprayed edges, and it obviously is signed by the author, so I just decided to go ahead and get this edition. And I got this specifically after I had read the first book, so I already knew that I had enjoyed it and that I did want to have a special edition of it, which is why I went ahead on both of these, and I decided to splurge a little bit just because my experience had been so great, and I cannot wait to read the second book. I think it's going to be a great time. Other display pieces on this shelf specifically include the second lotus flower that I was talking about earlier, as well as this little mushroom vase. I fell in love with these when I saw them, so I decided to get them to put on the shelves. Sadly, I only have 2 of these, but if I could have a million of them, I would, because I think they look stunning, and for some reason, like, it just classily dresses up the shelves. I love it. Next up is my fantasy adult read shelf. Now, there are some also unread books on here, primarily Mistborn, Well of Ascension, and The Hero of Ages, which I have not yet read. Everything else beside that is read, and I love the decor on this specific shelf. I still have to get a little a little plate stand so that I can prominently display this like that. That's the intent of having this plate here, not it just laying down like that. We start with Ninth House, moving into Book of Night, both books that are darker in aesthetic, moving into the Greenbone Saga, which are the Illumicrate special editions, and I decided to decorate these books with the pins that actually came with the Illumicrate box. So we have got the Pillar, the Horn, and the Weatherman, which is all relevant to the story, and because I'd never really known what to do with these pins, I just decided to put them in the book. And I love the fact that I got to do this, because otherwise these pins would be rotting away in storage and I would not know what to do with these. So I love that I finally found something to do with them so that they again can be displayed and can be a part of the shelves. So I quite love just how they sit here, and honestly I find that it's quite inventive to do this. I've seen people do this with bookmarks obviously, but not necessarily with pins, so I think I am quite revolutionary for doing this, though I realize it is most likely the simplest thing ever. Also, these editions of the Greenbone Saga continue to astound me. I think these are some of the prettiest editions I own. The covers themselves, which have no dust jackets, but it's just the foiling, it's all relevant to the story itself. Then you have got the stunning sprayed stenciled edges. Obviously all of my books are annotated, so you're going to see a theme with every single one that I'll show you. However, I think Illumicrate did a stunning job with these books, and I don't know how coveted these are, but I feel like I have the most special piece of special edition literature on my shelves with these sitting here, to be quite honest, and I will never give these up because this is one of my all-time favorite trilogies, series. Evidently, the last book has been annotated to filth and it was loved extensively. Then we move into my R.F. Kuang section, which has the Poppy War and Babel, and then we also have this beautiful Poppy War pin that I also got from an Illumicrate box, I believe. Listen, am I gonna have to do the beauty guru shot? No, we got it. So we got that from a book box, as well as the actual mug is also from the Poppy War, so I decided to just put it on this shelf because I thought it very fitting. This little plate right here is also dedicated to the Greenbone Saga. It is from Twice Lucky, which is the club that we see located in John Loon as part of the plot. So I do want to get a little plate stand so that I can, you know, prop it up. And then we move into other fantasies, as well as a portrait of Darrow, Mustang, and Severo from Red Rising. Also got that from Illumicrate a few years back. Never figured out what to do with it. Had it literally rotting in storage as well, so finally figured that for the decoration of it, it'd be quite nice. Welcome to my red YA fiction shelf. All of these are red because most of these are standalones. I have got this nice little Lego Buzz that I got in the UK when I visited last year, which I figured was perfect to prop on my pile right there. This is allegedly, supposedly, according to me, an ode to A Cuban Girl's Guide to Tea and Tomorrow, so we'll just make it count for that reason. But other than that, a few favorites that I can spotlight on this specific shelf. I don't think there are any special editions here based on what I am seeing, but if I had to call out a few favorites, I think I would go Ace of Spades is for sure a favorite one. You guys already know I loved this book back when I read it. If you guys are ever looking for an Orpheus Eurydice retelling, Never Look Back by Lilian Rivera is actually a Latin Orpheus Eurydice retelling that you could potentially enjoy. Also, obviously, The Inheritance Games by Lynn Barnes. Ended up really enjoying that one upon a reread. reread. Then we have got Darius the Great is Not Okay. I need more people to read this book because this book made me sob my little eyes out. Muted by Tammy Charles is another one that I don't see talked about enough. I read this before it had come out as an ARC. Fell in love with Tammy Charles writing, to be honest, so I definitely would recommend. Another really poignant book that made me sob my eyes out as I was listening to the audiobook. Really wish that I had annotated it in hindsight. However, I was having such a good experience with the audio that I did not even think once to pick up the book to annotate anything in regards to it. Obviously, we have got The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo, which you guys know I adore with my entire soul. Better Than the Movies got me through a really tough time when I was having what I like to call Cox's Gate. I couldn't get out from bed for an entire week and walk because my coccyx was severely inflamed, and this was the one book that got me through it. Honestly, the YA books that I have kept, I would recommend most of these, to be quite honest. I feel like all of these I have got great memories with. They treated me well, they were entertaining, they were well written, and honestly, a girl has zero complaints. So if you see something here, a girl recommends. We have got more YA fantasy down here that are mostly read, save for a couple things that are, again, series that I did not want to separate for the sake of spacing. So we have got the Once Upon a Broken Heart series, which I still have yet to buy the third book, actually. I didn't necessarily love The Curse for True Love, so I don't own it, but I do want to get it for the sake of having the entire thing. I did decide to display, though, Once Upon a Broken Heart because I did love this book a lot. So this is the one book that's displayed, and honestly, the sprayed edges, can we just appreciate those? Because I still can't get over them. We have got We Hunt the Flame and We Free the Stars, which are also Illumicrate editions. Also really, really stunning stenciled edges, and the illustration of everything is in general absolutely out of this world. I still have yet to read Heart of the Sun Warrior and We Free the Stars. These are both books that I want to tackle in my upcoming finishing series I'm in the middle of. Don't know exactly which episode, but I am trying to tackle series right now that I have just one book left of, if not two, if I can finish it rather quick. And with both of these duologies, I'm just missing that. So you'll see those very, very soon in those videos. We have got Muse of Nightmares. This is the copy I read, and the only reason why I've kept this dual edition moment, because you guys know I don't tend to enjoy keeping double copies of anything unless they're like really, really special editions. I got this from Amazon, and for some reason I still can't get over it. My edition got here signed by Laini Taylor. I still don't understand how this happened, and given the fact that Laini Taylor has disappeared off the face of the earth, to my understanding, because where is she? I need more books from her because we've not gotten anything since Muse of Nightmares. I think that's quite special. We also have Skyward, and I think it's called the Titanic series actually, but I don't want to separate them even though I still have yet to read Titanic, so I have it all together. And then we have got a few special Cassandra Clare editions. We have got Chain of Iron that I managed to find for literally the fairest price ever online. And if you guys know these editions by Illumicrate, then you'd know that these resells don't go for cheap. So me finding Chain of Iron for a good price was nothing short of a miracle. And then I got Clockwork Prince, and honestly, the stenciled edges on Clockwork Prince and these editions of the Infernal Devices, I love. You guys know I'm not the biggest fan of the Infernal Devices, but I thought having a cute little cheeky special edition would not hurt anybody, so we did get that. And that completes the red YA fantasy shelf number 2. And the last shelf we're going to be seeing is my bottom shelf on this specific unit, which is my unread YA fiction shelf. I do have the Lesbiana's Guide to Catholic School displayed, but I feel like this was a mistake because it is a paperback and the flap here is sort of leaning out, so I feel like I just need to repress that book and just scoot these all over for the sake of my own sanity, and then grab a hardcover and further press the last one, because I realized that I can't really have paperbacks hanging out like that if I don't want the actual book to start opening up quite uglily. And so these are all of my YA fiction books that I have unread, a mix of genres mostly, but everything outside of fantasy. Honestly, a lot of these I want to get to rather soon as well, also because YA fiction makes for really great audiobooking, so I know a bunch of these I will be reading through audio, and I'll probably be reading these for challenges, particularly my Read It or on Haul It series, so hopefully I'll be getting through most of these, if not all of these, in the next couple of months, because I feel like this shelf can also be potentially reduced quite a a bit after reading them. Right here at the top, we have got sprayed and stenciled edges shelf. Now, the reason why I say sprayed is because I did have to put Assistant to the Villain up here after I finished it, because I honestly did not have any other space for it. So I just chucked it in there with the rest of the really pretty edges. It is kind of ruining the vibe, but nothing else really fits here, so I figured let's just put Assistant to the Villain there. But I do have Painted Devils as well as Little Thieves right here, Priory of the Orange Tree, and then Day of Fallen Night, the special edition of Babel, and then we have got Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows. All of these like Fairy Loot Illumicrate stunning editions just sit right up top of the shelves. I love it. I really wish I had like a really pretty plant in here, so I feel like I need to fix this. This has got to be one of my personal favorite shelves. I mean, all of it is great, because not gonna lie, I think I did a great job at reorganizing the shelves this go around, but this one right here has a special place in my heart. I think the way that everything looks is amazing. This being one of the focal points of the shelves, I think is incredible. We have first got the Frostheart special editions that Gav from Gavin Reads It All kindly sent over a couple years ago. These editions are everything. The stenciled edges specifically, I know I have showed these plenty here on my channel, and he actually sent these from his own personal collection, which I thought was absolutely beautiful of him. And so we have got those, as well as the Nerdy Ink editions of Percy Jackson. I got all of my hardcovers used so that I could simply plaster the dust jackets on these, and they not only look amazing on the spine, I'll show you the covers as well, don't worry, because I know some of you guys will be nosy and you guys will want to see if you've never seen this before. And then I have got two of my favorite middle grades on this side. We have got Putkin and Stubb, which low-key kind of reads like a middle grade 1984. I thought it was really delightful. And then we have got Front Desk by Kelly Yang, which made me cry from page 20 all the way to the end. I don't think I ever not cried. Then we have got a little Riptide replica from Percy Jackson, which I thought was so perfect to display right here on this shelf. We have got a candle right here because I needed something to prop up the actual sword with, so I just decided to use a little candle. And then we have got a fake plant, because was it really going to be a cute shelf without the fake plant? I would dare say not. And then for the actual Nerdy Ink editions of Percy Jackson, this is what the back looks like. Look, I didn't want to be a half-blood. If you guys have read this book or watched the show, then you know that that line is pretty famously known from book 1. The artwork for these dust jackets is absolutely everything. If you've been here on my channel before, then you've seen these before, because I did start my reread of these a couple years back. I still have not finished my reread because I suck and I still need to get through the last 2 books in the series. However, I get so much joy from staring at these covers, so I know that when I do finish this, I'll feel extremely victorious. This has got to be, if not my favorite shelf in the entire office, then pretty up there. We first have got a little Cherry Blossom Lego because I thought it was perfect with manga and manhwa, and then we go into my all-time favorite mangas and also manhwa, and I say manhwa specifically because Villains Are Destined to Die resides on this shelf. I thought the progression from A Sign of Affection and the pastel spines going into the pastel spines of Villains Are Destined to Die was the most genius, beautiful thing to do, and so that's what I've done. I have the rest of the volumes for A Sign of Affection waiting at my PO box. I need to go pick those up. However, I'm currently on volume 5, so I have volumes 5 through 9 to read before volume 10 comes out this month, actually, so maybe I'll get through all of it and I'll report back. But we have got A Sign of Affection, which is a shoujo manga. We have got Villains Are Destined to Die, which is manhwa, which as opposed to manga, which as you'll be able to tell is read back to front, and also its illustrations are all in black and white. Manhwa is read more traditionally front to back, and then all of the illustrations are in full color as opposed to manga. There are still some manga that do full color, but it's definitely not the norm. So I really do love the full color illustrations of Villains Are Destined to Die just because it feels extra special. Then we have got Cat Massage Therapy, all 3 volumes of it. We have got volume 1 of the collector's edition of Fruits Basket. I remember reading the first volume and not being wowed by it. I'm keeping it because I want to reread it to really determine if I want to DNF the series or not, because I read it such a long time ago and I am trying to define whether it was me or if it's actually the series that I'm not connecting to. And then I have got the omnibus for Paradise Kiss, which is a fashion shoujo manga that I really need to finish because I have only read volume volume 1 and I have not gone back to it to actually finish the series, but I really have to. And we go from manga and manhwa into literary fiction. These are all of my red ones. I had to display Lessons in Chemistry because this UK hardcover is beautiful. I don't know if you guys have actually seen this without the dust jacket, but it has the entire periodic table as the actual hardcover, which I think is out of this world. I remember seeing this hardcover a while back and I was gonna get the US edition, and then I had heard also, curiously enough, that the author really doesn't like the US edition of Lessons in Chemistry, and I decided to go ahead and get the hardcover, and I definitely do not regret it. And honestly, for my literary fictions, all of these are favorites. All of the ones that I've decided to keep are all books that I would heavily recommend. I think it incites great conversation. Themes in the story are very rich, the writing is phenomenal, and it's just very thought-provoking, so I would recommend, honestly, all of these. None of these are special editions, save for Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. This is, I believe I ended up getting the Illumicrate edition, perhaps. I honestly can't remember at this point, but it's got the really beautiful pen dripping down. And this edition of On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous, I also adore. This is also the UK edition. I sincerely miss Book Depository. For all those girlies that know, then you guys know, because specifically for my literary fictions, a lot of these are UK editions because I love them. And now I'm gonna have to pay ridiculous shipping on Waterstones every single time, or I'm gonna have to get them through Blackwell's and just await for them to get here when they do, which is not the worst thing to ever happen. But literary fiction, love the shelf, love all these books, would recommend all of them. Then we go into read graphic novels and also a few manga because I didn't know where to put Spy Family, so I just decided to throw this in here, as well as Solo Leveling. I've only read volume 1, but I do have volume 2 on deck, so I will be reading that very, very soon to also figure out if I want to keep on going with the series. But just based on how volume 1 went, I would say probably the answer will be yes. And then I have got all of my Heartstoppers. I have got Check Please, Girl from the Sea. This one wrecked my soul. Everyone's an alien when you're an alien too. I feel like everybody needs to read this. If you guys haven't read this graphic novel, be prepared to sob your eyes out, because I did not expect to cry as much as I did, but I absolutely cried my way through the entirety of this one. Then we have got Fence, which is also a queer graphic novel about fencing. I really love it. I actually am so out of date with where Fence is at the moment and how many volumes are out, so need to do some digging around. And then we have got Wingbearer as well. Very cute graphic novel, so all of these are just, love them so much. Chef's kiss to all of them. And then right here at the bottom, I have got all of my read thrillers, mysteries, and horrors. Clearly not a whole lot because I don't read a lot from this genre. I clearly have more unread than I do read, but all of the ones that I have kept were ones that I deeply, deeply enjoyed. I just realized A Dowry of Blood is down here, and technically A Dowry of Blood would fit into like the horror scheme, but it's more fantasy, so I actually need to relocate A Dowry of Blood because I don't know why it's down here. I don't know why I made that decision, but all of these I would recommend in a heartbeat if I was asked for a mystery, thriller, horror recommendation. So screenshot this if you are looking for a really good rec, because I trust all of these with my life. Particularly All's Well by Mona Awad is a book that really surprised me. This is the Canadian edition. I had to go ahead and get this one. It was very pricey to do so, but it was very well worth it. This book, and the way that it talks about illness, chronic illness, and the relation to art and sickness and healing, I really loved all of it. Another book that I deeply want to reread at some point, and I don't see enough people talk about this Mona Awad release. I feel like I see everybody talk about Bunny, but where is the All's Well love? Because I don't see enough of it, and this book was, to me, fantastic. Though it could be an unpopular opinion, because clearly nobody talks about it. Now, Your Honor, we approach the literary fiction / romance shelf because I didn't have space for all of these in other places, so I decided to just chuck them in together, even though it makes absolutely no goddamn sense. We have got the Bromance Book Club series all the way on this corner. We have got Chestnut Springs over here. We have got 2 random Katie Robert books that I enjoyed enough to keep around, and I just realized they are totally in the wrong order because Desperate Measures should be first. We have got the Addicted Calloway series right here. Really don't know where I'm gonna put these once I get all 10 books in the series, and the series it's like fully complete. And then we have got some literary fiction over on this side, as well as like one historical mystery. Honestly, this shelf makes no sense at all, but I'm kind of living for this chaos. Like, I don't know if I'm the only one, but it's not so bad. I also low-key feel like some of these are like the rejects. Like, all of these don't have the prettiest covers, save for maybe the Romance Book Club series, which I do quite love the covers for, and maybe Chestnut Springs. Everything else, I'm like, well, y'all don't really have the best covers. Only a couple of you on this side. I feel like I've just, you know, I've got an array of not so pretty books, and they just all live together. And it's great. Literally, look at them. Oh my god, they're here on the shelves. Great, I love them. This right here has single-handedly become, if not my favorite shelf in the shelves, but at least one of my top shelves. I think from the decor piece, which is mainly this orange juice vase with some Lego flowers, all the way to the color scheme of the actual shelf, this just brings me so much joy. So the only decor piece that I have got on this specific shelf is this little orange juice vase. We have got some Lego sunflowers as well as a Lego lotus. I totally forgot that the lotus set actually brought 3 different pieces, and it was 2 big lotus flowers and then this very tiny one that technically isn't like fully bloomed. So I really love this specific vase with the setup. I got this idea from Pinterest and I found the exact one on Amazon, so I decided to get it and just recreate that moment. And while there are still other things that I want to continue adding to the shelves in terms of maybe crocheted friends or maybe some plushies, I definitely am going to start doing that progressively, because decorating the shelves and getting, I guess, like that very intentional decor piece can get quite pricey, so we're gonna get there eventually. However, all of the romance books that I have kept are favorites. I don't think there's a single romance book on this shelf that I have rated anything lower than a 4-star. I think everything is a 4-star or higher. But if I had to highlight like some all-time favorites, I know I recently did a romance book recommendation, but if I was like, these are books that you absolutely need to read, I mean, first of all, we have got The Right Move by Liz Tomford right over here. I am so excited to get caught up read this month. We also have My Roommate is a Vampire, The Fake Mate by Lana Ferguson. This is an Omegaverse romance. Oh my god, it's so good. Funny Story by Emily Henry has quickly become my favorite Emily Henry book, so I definitely would recommend Funny Story. 7 Days in June, you guys already know I love a ton. This is definitely right up there. One that I don't talk about enough but that I also really loved is Funny You Should Ask. I know a lot of people hated this book, but honestly, I find myself right there with the people that enjoyed it, because this one brought me a lot of joy when I did read it. People We Meet on Vacation is my second favorite Emily Henry book. I love this with a passion. I've been talking about forever how I want to reread the book and annotate it, because not a single one of my Emily Henry books is annotated, and I personally think that is a crime. And this little stack right here, save for perhaps Not in Love, that's at the top, and Just for the Summer at the bottom, basically from Butcher and Blackbird all the way to the 7 Year Slip, like this quadrant right here are all favorite romance books, and I would definitely recommend all of them. I actually, now that I think about it, the only book that I rated lower than a 4-star was Just for the Summer, which I don't know yet if I want to keep or if I do want to unhaul, but it's still in the collection. Other than that, these are all quite favorites of mine. I think if I had to choose a favorite cover maybe on this shelf, either do My Roommate is a Vampire, because the cover for this is absolutely stunning, or I would also do Funny You Should Ask. Honestly, romance books all for the most part have really great covers, but I think these two stand out as very different from what I tend to see a lot in the genre. Funny You Should Ask, I think, has got to be like my top favorite one though, because that one is absolutely gorgeous. Then we move into more read fantasy adult books. Most of these are read, however, I made the very difficult decision to keep the Witcher series together, which means that all of this, save for Sword of Destiny, so Blood of Elves all the way to Season of Storms, is unread, but I really just wanted to keep this series together because it does reside as a little stack on my shelves. It's quite a bit to separate too, so I just decided to rope it all in, keep it together as a series. But other than these that are still unread, I only really have Children of Fallen Gods over on the other corner that I have got yet to finish, because I did start it a while back. All of these I also love. I think what I really loved about my unhaul was the fact that all of the books that I did keep in my read shelves are all books that I am obsessed with, or that I had a great time reading, and it's sort of, you know, it brings up a memory. So it's hard for me to say, ooh, maybe don't read this because it's not as good. I feel like every single thing on these shelves are things that I have loved. I will try and highlight a few favorite covers though. I mean, I think the Atlas 6, the Fairy Loot edition, had a stunning little moment. I think this was a Fairy Loot edition, I'm pretty sure. The edges, I think, were stunning. They're black sprayed edges, but they do have like some gold detailing as far as the stencil goes. And then when you get into the actual naked hardcover as well, you have got a nice little special moment with the foiling. And then the art is just one of the things that I need to highlight in every single one of Olivia Blake's books. The artist that illustrates all of her books is insanely talented, and I love every single one of the commissions. The book itself all throughout also should have character, there we go, character art. So it's just full of little, you know, tidbits nodding to the book that I love, because it also just helps picture the characters a lot better. Because sometimes, I don't know if it happens to you guys, I sometimes do struggle to get like a clear mental image of what a character is supposed to look like. So I really do appreciate the fact that Olivia Blake goes through, I guess, the task of including those illustrations in the book, because I think it makes the reading experience so much better. Another cover that I really love is Half a Soul. I love this book. I'm sad that the rest of the series wasn't so great, but at least Half a Soul as a first installment was absolutely incredible. All of the Witcher books I bought in these specific editions also because I really love them. They got rebranded, I think, last year, and when I found out they were being rebranded, I rushed to get the red covers. I don't know if they did end up discontinuing these, but the alleged news at the time were that they were, and I wouldn't be surprised because they tend to be discontinued when they're getting recovered, but I really do love those. I also love the special editions. I don't know what this collection specifically is called for the actual Discworld series, but I got this while I was in the UK last year, and I think these covers, if I had to, you know, if I had to collect anything, these little covers all lined up, I know look quite nice because at the bookstore they looked amazing. I do want to keep on reading the Death Collection by Terry Pratchett inside the Discworld. However, outside of that, I don't know where to go in the Discworld. So if you guys have got any recommendations on like, Mel, enter this specific series inside Discworld, do let a girl know in the comment section, because I truly don't know where to go from here specifically. But I do love that cover. Obviously, the anniversary edition of Addie LaRue is one of my prized possessions. It is annotated, it's got some beautiful stenciled edges, and it's also got like the sprayed edges at the bottom and at the top as well, which I really do appreciate. And then I do want to show you the Witcher covers. I mean, they've done the rounds at this point. I feel like everybody knows these, but they are illustrated as the video game is, which I absolutely love. So to my understanding, I think all of these are scenes from the video game. If I am not mistaken, I could be entirely wrong, but I do think that sounds somewhat correct. You guys can also correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, but I do love these covers quite a bit, and I did not want to have a mismatch series when it came to The Witcher, so I just decided to get that one specifically because I thought, why the hell not? I mean, I don't even have to say it. You guys know how much I adore Middle Game by Seanan McGuire. This cover is so incredibly striking, and still to this day, when I go to old videos, I have so many comments asking me when this was displayed what exactly the book's title was, because everybody was like, the hand with the flames, it looks so cool, and I would not disagree with you because this is incredible. So I absolutely love the cover for Middle Game, and also just the covers for Daughter of No Worlds and its sequel. I think these covers are also stunning. I love them. I really do need to finish Children of Fallen Gods. This is like the only other thing on this shelf that you can clearly see still has the bookmark in, because I started it and then I moved on to other things and I did not go back to it. So I need to get back into this world and also get myself the third book, whose cover is probably my favorite out of the three. I think the cover for the third book is so freaking epic, so I can't wait to finish the second book and then go into the rest of the series. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. We go back into YA fantasy. Most of these are also read. The only single book in here that is not read is actually Finale by Stephanie Garber, another final installment in a series that is the only one I have to read till I'm done. So this is another book that's going to be prioritized quite soon for the finishing series I'm in the middle of vlogs, because it's the only one I'm missing to finish the entire world. I've already read the entirety of the Once Upon a Broken Heart series, books 1 and 2 in Caraval. So the last one, also Sil left me a little gift with this book because she started biting the corner back when this was in my TBR cart. So I will certainly be Reading that with a little cat gift right at the corner. You guys already know in here, favorites, we have got Wicked Fox by Kat Cho. Is one of my absolute favorite books. One that I dare say, like, the sequel is not only on par, but I'd consider in ways even better than the first book. This duology is severely underrated in my opinion. If you guys like K-dramas and nine-tailed fox narratives, I would definitely recommend this one right here. So rich in the mythology, the familial dynamics are fantastic, the found family is incredible, the tone of friendship. I can never sing enough high praises for Wicked Fox, and I really wish that it was a longer series, but honestly, it being a duology is also perfect length, and I love it so much. I also have the Turnaround series for me, because if you guys know anything about me, is that I had initially read The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, and I actually DNF'd it, and I hated it, and then I reread it. I really enjoyed my time, read the rest of the series, and now How the King of Elfhame Learned to Hate Stories is displayed on the shelves. Once more, biggest turnaround ever, and I have this little, like, pendant right here that I got. I don't know if it was Illumicrate or Fairy Loot, one of the two, but it turns around and you've got the little sun and then you have got the moon, and I don't know, I thought it was quite cute to put on here. So depending on the day, I just turn it around and you get a different pendant and design every day, but has nothing to do with the book. I just thought to give it a little pizzazz, I'd put it on there. Then we have got the second Cherry Blossom. It's a different color, which I absolutely love, and I decided to put it up here specifically because Syl, my lovely little demon cat, decided to start biting this quite a bit. So for her safety and my own sanity, I decided to put it up there instead of, I think I had put it like right here in the middle. Figured really quickly that I couldn't do that. Same with these lights. Listen, they're beautiful, but Vin already broke this little extension right here, so I need to replace this one. Not the most wonderful thing, but it's what's happened in this household. Have to keep it honest. More YA fiction down here, and honestly, I had to mix and match this a little bit because evidently over at the other corner, I have got a graphic novel and then a manga, which definitely do not belong on the shelf, but I had nowhere else to put them, so figured since I had the space in here, I'd put them in here. But I have got two series down here. I've got Truly Devious and then the Athena Club series. I have yet to finish the Athena Club series. I still have two books left in this series. The first one is actually The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter by Theodora Goss. I loved this book. I annotated it. Had such a great time with this, and I really do need to continue it because it was such a good time. Got the classics down here. So we have got The Hunger Games, including The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. And then we have got these covers of Twilight, which I was already told off by you guys in terms of hiding them and not displaying them anymore, and how could I do that? I got the dust jackets from Katie Video, and much like my books from Percy Jackson, that series, I got used hardcovers, then installed the dust jackets on top of those. Did the same thing with my Twilight books, so those live in here. I love that it's scenes from the movie, but it looks more 80s-ish with the whole sort of 3D blue and red getup. I absolutely love that. I think they look so good, and I wish I could display these more, but I don't have the space to, so they just live down here. Down here, I have got unread fantasies. I also had to mix up my adult fantasies with my YA fantasies because I didn't have enough space to separate these in terms of what was unread because my other shelf was already too full of books, and sadly I had to put a lot of special editions down here because again of spacing issues. But I do have my Fairy Loot edition of the Gilded Wolves, which I do want to prioritize next year. I've been saying this ever since I got these and I haven't, so I really need to for 2025. I think I need to start making my 10 books to read in 2025 list because it's honestly outrageous how many books I want to start prioritizing, and I don't know how long realistically the list will end up being, but we need to start planning. We have got The Coldest Girl in Cold Town, also stunning stenciled edges. I love these a lot. Another special edition, I can't remember if it was Fairy Loot or Illumicrate, but one of the two. Then we have got The Poison Study. These covers are fantastic. Have I read this series to have warranted me getting them? Absolutely not, but I thought they were stunning and the original covers are hideous, so I decided to just go ahead and do it. Then we have got Gideon the Ninth, which is clearly stuck, which does not want to come out unless I take out 4 other books with it. Please hold. These editions of Gideon still have the original covers, but it really was the one stenciled edges that did it for me, but also the naked books are absolutely out of this world. Like literally look at that. It is ridiculous, the most stunning job that they did with these, so I decided to get them, even though nowadays I have tried Gideon and I softly DNF'd it, so we'll see how I feel about it once I have retried it. Then we have got the UK editions of City of Brass. Empire of Gold being a hardcover is honestly nothing short of a miracle, but also found that in the used section in Amazon. Honestly, when in doubt, if you ever want a special edition, check the used section. Make sure that you check the ISBN numbers, but just know you can find some really good special editions there. And then we've got a book that I really want to prioritize this winter season, which is A Winter's Promise by Crystal Davos. I have heard so many amazing things about this. I think it's got a very niche following, but the people who do love this write hard for it. And I've recently been told that this book actually has a little bit of Hermione vibes. I don't know if that's true or not, but I think I will mess around and find out, because that sounds a good time. A good little time. And then chucked away at the other corner of the universe, remember how I said I had another unread shelf? This is the very top of it. We have got adult fantasies right at the top with some special editions. So we first have Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. I'll have to push some of these books back in order to show you. I'm also hand holding the camera when I do get to these top shelves because my tripod doesn't go this far, okay, and I'm really short, so I'm standing on a chair, hand holding a camera. It's quite dangerous, and also it's taking my breath away. But look at the stained glass edges. Look at that. It's stunning, baby. Admire it for all of its beauty, because I'm about to put it back because I'm about to fall off the chair. But I am very curious to see what Cassandra Clare will do in a non-Shadowhunter setting, so I am quite excited to get that read next year, because at this point it's not going to get read in 2024. Like, let's be honest. I do realize I've got two YA books in here. I've got The Adventures of Amin al-Sirafi, which is the UK edition. I'm sorry, but the UK also won with this one. Literally, look at that cover. The US edition is nowhere near as pretty. I have to speak my truth. And then I've got The Stolen Heir by Holly Black, which is also YA, but most of these are adult fantasies. And then we have got To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini, which is actually a sci-fi, one that I've been meaning to read for so long and I still have not. So evidently I've got commitment issues, but it's gonna get resolved in due time. Next shelf down in my last unread shelf, we have got literary fiction, non-fiction, historical fiction. Just mix it all together and you get the best of both worlds, baby. Hannah Montana, state of biz, you already know. However, I, for spacing practicalities, just threw kind of everything together that needed to be together, and so it just became a mix of a little bit of everything, including poetry. I have got my second little mushroom vase right here because I thought it fit perfectly in this specific shelf. I have got a ton of books in here that I definitely want to read very soon. I've talked about it before, but for some reason, end and beginning of year kind of give me literary fiction classics vibes, and I feel like I'm definitely going to be stepping into that realm for the rest of the year. Rebecca is one that I really want to read soon. I finally got the, what I consider to be the pretty edition, which is one of the UK editions of it. I love this cover. I think Rebecca has got some of the ugliest covers I have seen, but this one right here is quite nice. I really do love it. So I'm hoping to hopefully, a little bit redundant, but to read this before the year is over. We have got El Juego del Ángel, which I really do need to prioritize, as well as In the Dream House. I think it's a crime that I haven't read a Carmen Maria Machado book yet, just given how the people react to it. I also have The Lonely City by Olivia Lang, which I have been told is a very, very sad book. I bought it for that reason, because listen, I do love me a good sad narrative, and it explores the theme of loneliness a lot, especially for people living in the city. So I'm very curious to see how that narrative will be explored and established in the book itself. We have got some Sally Rooney in here that I'm terrified to read, but listen, did I get Intermezzo recently, and will I be reading it? Absolutely yes. You can call me a masochist, baby, because you already know I have not had a single positive experience with Sally Rooney, but I still pre-ordered Intermezzo and I got the UK edition, paid a ridiculous amount of shipping for it, and it's an immense amount of commitment on this book for an author that has not yet delivered a single hit for me. However, I think out of all of her books, this sounds the most interesting to me, and so I'm hoping to really also read it before the year's over. Not gonna lie, I was a little bit traumatized when I opened this book and I realized she's still, I love that little crack, by the way. I've never fully opened the book. We just did something to the spine. Not a single quotation mark is in sight, like at all. It's honestly such an interesting artistic choice that I still have yet to understand, but I know what I'm getting myself into at this point. We'll see if this is 3 for 3 bad ones or if she'll deliver a success story. We've got some really beautiful end papers though, and I think there's nothing, yeah, there's nothing on the actual hardcover, but the UK really did the damn thing with this cover, because why is this so pretty? And I have seen an inverted version where where the actual cover is blue, and that is even better. I think that's the Australian version. I don't know, but they really blew it out of the park with the cover for Intermezzo. More literary fiction, historical fiction, non-fiction, everything thrown in together. This, I think, more than the shelf above, has a lot of books that I really want to read soon. So don't be surprised if suddenly my Goodreads towards end and beginning of 25 just, you know, starts looking very lit-ficky, because that is the mood and the vibe I am currently residing in. As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow is displayed on this shelf, even though I have not read this book. This book is too pretty not to display. Okay, this is the Fairy Loot edition. I love this cover. I think they did a beautiful job at the actual composition of the cover, as well as the actual colors chosen for it. The stenciled edges are absolutely insane. I still cannot get over these. And then when you open the actual book, you have got stunning artwork of the characters, as well as some really insane foiling on this. Another one I really want to read soon is James Baldwin, Giovanni's Room. I have had this book for so long and I still have yet to read it, so definitely want to prioritize that sometime soon. As well as my Before the Coffee books. I have not read a Before the Coffee book since, I think 2022. It's been a hot second. It brought me all the joy, but also all the tears. Want to re-experience that. Welcome to the Hyunamdong bookshop. Really want to immerse myself in that, as well as everything I know about love. I don't know how I'm gonna do this, because there's too many things to read before the end of the year, but maybe I do need to make a little bit more of an extensive list for 2025, because I don't know if 10 books will suffice. So maybe we can do 15. I feel like that's crazy. I feel like committing to 15 books in a single year is insane. Even though technically I would read more than that, it feels like a lot to commit to. Really need to plan this out for 2025, because there's some bangers in here that I really want to get. I don't know why I said the word bangers. Forget I said that. Next shelf. Got some bangers, bro. Okay, next shelf down. I really can't get over the fact that I said bangers. By the way, I'm never gonna live that down. It's immortalized on the internet forever. I'm going to fully embarrass myself and not care. Hello. We embrace all sorts of mistakes in this household. However, we have got The Little Prince, stunning edition. I have never read it, which is why it's part of the unread shelves. I know it's crazy, but I will fully admit that on the internet and live through the embarrassment of it. It's gonna be okay. We are gonna get that read sometime very, very soon. Other classics in here that I really want to prioritize is obviously The Picture of Dorian Gray. Surprisingly enough, I've also never watched the, you guys are gonna think I'm blasphemous, I've never watched the Ben Barnes movie. Come at me in the comments, I dare you right now. I really want to watch it. I really want to read it, not in that order. I think it's gonna be great when I do. I have got these stunning Penguin classics that I really want to check as of like today, I guess, like October 2024. How many more books have joined this specific collection? This is the Penguin Orange collection. I have got We Have Always Lived in the Castle, and I love that the accents for this are pink. Then for the Joy Luck Club by Amy Tan, the accent color is green, and then the Crucibles highlight color is blue. I think these editions are out of this world. I don't really see them a whole lot. Like, I don't think I've seen people show those in a whole lot of bookshelf tours. So I'm really curious to see what other, again, books have joined the collection, because I have not seen this ever since I did get these editions a couple years back. Then we have got Jane Eyre, which I also really want to read soon. I ended up reading Wuthering Heights last year and I adored it, so I feel like I need to read more by the Brontes. This is happening in November, which is terrifying, but I recently sprinted with Bella and we agreed that I'm going to be reading this in November and she's joining me. So if she deserts the ship, I will be personally flying to Dominicana and hounding her, but I don't think that'll be necessary, because I think the one hounding the other is going to be her to me, because I certainly am going to need all the courage, bravado, incentives to be able to read that book without too much issue. And then we have got Emma by Jane Austen. This is the Penguin Library edition, I think this collection's called. I really, really love it and I can't wait to read it too. I have a feeling it's going to be my favorite Austen. I could be completely wrong, but just based on vibes, I really do think that's going to be the case. And I'm just like overall very excited to read all of these, because the classics that I have kept, I think are all, you know, very exciting for me personally. So I think this is going to be quite good. Then we fall into my unread middle grade shelf. Evidently not a whole lot. I did get rid of quite a bit of my middle grade books because I don't feel inclined to read this a whole lot anymore. And so I did keep the ones that I am still interested in, or that I've started at some point in time and I've yet to finish it, or also part of ongoing series that I am at the moment reading. Got two Amari books that I need to get through and I'm really excited to read. We have got Kiki's Delivery Service because I have never read any of the books that inspired any of the Ghibli films, so I definitely need to get into that. We've got Keeper of the Lost Cities, as well as Nick Blake and the Remarkables, The Manifestor's Prophecy. We have got Claribel Ortega's middle grade, which is called Witchlings. Got Last Gamer Standing, which I've had forever. I really do need to prioritize that sometime soon. Nevermore is part of my 10 books to read in 2024, so I will be reading this before the year is over. And then we have got 2 Pages & Co books, and these are books 3 and 4. When I tell you, I recently heard that they're up to book 6. Terrified me, but we're gonna get there eventually. And that is everything for today, friends. That is the completed bookshelf tour. I hope that you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, don't forget to give it a massive thumbs up down below. And if you spotted any books on my unread shelves that, again, you're like, Mel, you need to prioritize, you need to read soon, you need to love them as much as I do, let a girl know in the comment section down below, because I'd love to know. I'm sure there's a bunch of hidden gems in here, books that I don't tend to look at that much, just like soon to be options that maybe I need to start upping up my priority list. And if you guys want like an overall complete physical TBR video for me to give you a rundown of every single book that I own that I have not read yet, let a girl know in the comments, because I can definitely get that done for you guys if you guys want to see like the full extent of my physical TBR. Also, let a girl know if you guys share any favorites. If you saw any books in this video where I talked about any books that I was like, I die over this plot line, I die over this book, let a girl know so that we can gush about our favorites in the comment section. And overall, if you want to let a girl know how you organize your shelf, if you separate your read books from your unread books, how do you reintegrate them into your read shelves, I'd love to know all of that. Honestly, I think any and all tips are very welcome in this household. And if you reach the very end of the video, let us leave some plant emojis because of my artificial plant friend right here, the only type of plant I'll have inside my household, let me tell you that much. If you'd like to support the channel further, there's always a Patreon linked down below. It helps a ton to help things run smoothly, get expensive equipment and the like, so that is always linked down below in case you want to support the channel, join a community of like-minded people, join a book club, a Discord server, get a ton of live shows that you're not going to see anywhere else, as well as unlock a bunch of things that you're also not going to see either here or on other socials. That is always linked down below alongside the rest of my socials. I love you guys so much, and I will see you on the next one. Goodbye!